Bringing you guys another crypto video. Today we're going to be discussing Zilliqa or Zil. This is a pretty exciting video because I have a few things to discuss. I'm going to be looking at short term and then get into some long term outlook for Zil based on some technical analysis and some very heavy speculation. I want to make that extremely clear. I'm going to be doing some very heavy speculation and looking at where I think Zil could potentially go long term, which means 3 months, 6 months, 1 year plus. Just want to say this is not financial advice. Please do your own research. This is by no means financial advice at all. So if we start with some short term analysis, we can see Zil broke out of our symmetrical triangle. We talked about this. I think it's been a few days since I've done a video on Zil. So we broke out of this symmetrical triangle and came down to this line of support, which has acted as support a few times in the past, and we can see that at these 1, 2, 3, 4 touch points, and now come down. We had a breakthrough. We've actually had a few breakthroughs. We're currently right on the line, so hopefully we can get some more support just here. That'd be all right. Just looking at it now, I can see that we're kind of in a symmetrical triangle, maybe, if you wanted to say something like that, and we're right on it. I'm pretty fine with drawing that. Just in the short term. So 1, 2, 3. Hopefully we bounce off, come back up, and break out of this. And should we break out of this, they might be able to send us up towards the triangle. But this triangle is pretty much finished anyway. This big one we've been talking about. So it's pretty much irrelevant, even if we do go back into it. Looking at the bigger picture, we were forming a cup and handle, and that kind of stopped. Then we started forming a W. That's kind of been put on hold. You could still say we're forming a W. It would not be the nicest W ever, unless we have a nice move like this. Then you could somewhat say we're forming a big W here, if you wanted. The other thing you do is you could say, well, let's forget this line, right? Let's forget this big cup and handle looking thing that just did not play out. We could see a move from Zil like this and come back up. Obviously, it wouldn't be as simple as that. But if we were to see this, then all of a sudden, the W's on, right? Another W, like that. You could say that. I mean, this is literally saying that Zil has a move up to 13 cents quite rapidly, right? A bit of a parabolic move. We have a W. Then you would have to drop this line down to here. And if we broke out, actually, we only have to go to 12 and a half cents, and we can see a W there. So this is looking at something that could play out. I've got rid of this other line because I think it's done. I think there's no cup and handle here. There's no W forming. This second part is just way too ugly. This first part was very nice, very symmetrical, very technical. Looks good. And obviously this has been a bit washy with Bitcoin taking a dump recently. If we look at Bitcoin, just quickly, because obviously Bitcoin is going to predict the market, and I'm going to get into my Zil intense speculation soon, so stay tuned. I'll get into that very, very quickly. Bitcoin currently trading at $58,000. Not bad. We've hit resistance off this line twice, which is not ideal, but that's okay. We could have another crack at it. We might just be coming down and have another test and get back into this sideways moving channel, which would be extremely bullish with Bitcoin. If we manage to do that and we can start moving forward again, then Zil could also start its move forward. That would be really good. So yeah, Bitcoin come down. It just broke 60K, I think, or we got back onto 60K. So there's a bit of resistance at that $60,000 level. Anyway, back to Zil. So one thing I want to look at is this graph. So this is Zil all the way back from 2018 August, quite a while away. Now this is very speculation. This is by no means reasonable predictions. It's just my own opinion and me doing, just basically having some fun with the Zilliqa charts. So if we look at it firstly, we can see Zil had a massive head and shoulders, not the greatest head and shoulders, but you can see it was there. And I want him to draw a line to see how accurate this is, but I didn't know on the logarithmic chart. So we're on the logarithmic chart and we're on the weekly time frame. When you move your price targets like this, it changes the length, which makes sense because it's logarithmic, but it's kind of annoying. Anyway, you can basically see from the bottom we moved 1, 2, 3, and 3/4 lines. And to give you reference, these lines are from starting at 2/10 of a cent and moving their way up, just doubling. So on logarithmic, it just doubles. And so that's why every length is the exact same. They're not 100% perfect, but they're just about, right? They're just about perfect. So we can see that we moved 1, 2, 3 and 3/4, and we had a pullback of 1 length, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, which is a 1,300% move with a pullback of 1 length. Then we saw from the bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, again 4 up with a pullback of this time 2 lengths, right? So it was 4 lengths with 1 length pullback, and then 4 with 2 lengths pullback. What I'm saying is that historically, if this is what happened, this may play out again, right? We talk about things like halvings, we talk about the bull market cycle and all this stuff, and how historically it's important to look at the historical events for every coin because, well, history rhymes, right? It doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. It tends to sometimes, which is why this is something to look at. It's simply speculation. It's just having a look at what could play out for Zil, looking very long term, right? If we look here, so we have a symmetrical triangle in formation at the moment. Should about to break, right? Ideally, this is about to break. Again, I'm on the weekly time frame. We saw another symmetrical triangle here. So there's looks like a bit of a pattern, right? I'm gonna get rid of this line because it's annoying me. Looks like there's a bit of a pattern forming. Something like this. We got up 4 lines, come down for 1. No, sorry, we got 4 lines, enter a symmetrical triangle, come down for 1, and then we go again once we break out. We break out, and from the bottoms here, we got up another 4 lines, come down for 2 this time, enter a symmetrical triangle. So, what am I saying? Well, if we take it from the bottom, which is down here, on this line, if we move up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're probably looking something like this. This takes us to $1 Zil value. This would take us to $1 Zil value if we saw this play out to follow what we've seen in the past. And we can also see that the symmetrical triangle has increased its size, and so that may happen again. And if the pullback was 1 length and then 2 lengths, well, maybe the pullback this time will be 3 lengths. And this could happen around the time of the bull market finishing as well, right? So if that were to happen, we have a bull market peak for Bitcoin and the rest of the market, and then we come down for 3, 2, 3. And brings us back down to 12 cents. And so we could see us hit this line and then come up. And then, so we can see, if we look at the recent one, we came down, came back up, got resistance at this line, went down again, support. And so we kind of sat between this line, meaning that speculatively, if this played out, would go 1, 2, 3, this line, would come down, hit this line, come up, and would sit in this range. This would be the range it would sit in, right? There'd be support here and resistance here. To look at time frame, we can see these moves are pretty parabolic. And if we look at time frames, this was over 100 days from there. And this move, if we take it from the breakout, was over 175 days. So if we take this one from the breakout, if we're looking more than 175 days, that means we're looking anywhere from, that's 175 there. So if I take vertical line, let's change color. What do you want? That looks good. Anywhere from here to, well, anywhere past here, pretty much. I would say September 2022, maybe. We could do something in there. I don't know if the bull market cycle is going to go anywhere past September 2022. That seems quite late. But anyway, I'm just going to have it there for whatever. Which means ideally we're actually looking more around this time to hit this peak. And then would come down. Which means we're looking at May. Our first line's got us booked in for 16th of May, 2022. So somewhere in this region might be where we could see ZIL reach this level of a dollar. I just want to reiterate, this is like intense speculation. Take this with a grain of salt. It's just having a look at some patterns. Look, I just find this very interesting and just being very speculative and seeing more so long term. I feel like most videos I do on ZIL and all my coins are just like more short to mid term. And this one I want to just look at more long term and see if I can find any patterns. And obviously I've found a few patterns, with this being a parabolic run into a symmetrical triangle, another parabolic run into symmetrical triangle, and then we might see another one. I just want to draw this. So if we saw this move up here, let's say we finished July, seems possible. We might see a top here at 11th of July. Some people think the cycle's going to end, the bull market cycle's going to end next month, which is like 8 months before July. Some people say it could go to 2023, right? I don't know. This is just speculation. But if we came up to here, as I said, we'd go down 3 lines, something to here, and then waver about in here maybe. Until the next bull market, and we can see another move, and then would see another symmetrical triangle in formation. Something like that could be what we look at going forward. Obviously, this. Firstly, I want to say to get a dollar ZIL, that's a 10x from right now, which is it's a big move. It's a big move. ZIL, I think ZIL can do it if it gets some big news and some small mass adoption. We can see ZIL start to take off and go on this run. Is it probable? Probably not. Probably not. Right, like this is a big move to see. To get to a dollar is a big move. Even if we just went up, we could see diminishing returns start to take place, and we might see our move from, well, instead of it being 4 lines we jump up 3, which means it would put us here at 50 cents, which at 50 cents a ZIL is like a really good price, right? I think everyone would agree with that. And so this could be what we see, and then we see maybe a one line drop, which is still 50%. Still 50%. That's reasonable. But I think the fact that this will coincide with the bull market peak potentially, like it seems in this period could be where the bull market peak happens. May. I think May is reasonable as at an earliest date. It could happen earlier. We don't know. But I think ZIL hitting an all-time high at 52 cents, which is very high, is at the time of the bull market peak. Seems like somewhat reasonable prediction. There's like logic to it, is what I'm saying. There's logic to that, and then we see that correction will come down. Maybe we wick through and then come back up, get support, and sit in this range between 25 cents or 50 cents. Or we see us come down 2 lines, right? You could see us come down 2 lines here. Come up, support, resistance, sorry. And then just like sit in this line. Sit in that area there. Until the next halving, the next bull market happens, and we start another parabolic run. That could be what happens. Depends if ZIL gets, big news that makes ZIL take a big move. There's a lot that can happen. It's going to depend how Bitcoin does, Ethereum, the whole market, everything. So there's a bit to happen. So just want to say again, I'm by no means saying to expect $1 ZIL price in the next 6 months, year, ever, right? I'm not saying that. I'm just looking at what's going on and what could happen and making some somewhat unreasonable predictions. The other thing you say is this is just a bull flag as well. You can draw this line here. Let me get rid of this. Is that we're just seeing bull flags? And so we see a run up, bull flag, another one. That's just what we got here. Another bull flag and then another run up. Right? And so you can see ZIL take off again. I think ZIL at the moment, if I pull up this chart, ZIL at 9 cents seems pretty low as well. does seem pretty low. Pretty cheap price for Zill. Especially when you consider the fact that Zill got to 25 cents, right? And if we look at it, 25 cents, we said that we could get to 50 cents by the end of the cycle. That's only a 2x from the all-time high. That's not a massive move, right? That's not a massive move. From where we're at the moment, yeah, it's kind of massive. That's a 5x, nearly a 5x to get to 50 cents. But from the all-time high, like that's not a huge move. Like we've already seen a lot of altcoins hit their all-time highs. So Zill could just be playing catch up and just going at its own pace a bit slower. And we could see Zill go on a nice move, reach its all-time high, and then just break through. If it decides to go parabolic, this could be around the period that Bitcoin decides to make a big move. Go to 60K, go to 70K, 80K, 90K. It's obviously heavily dependent on how Bitcoin does and heavily dependent on how long the cycle goes for. If the cycle happens to end in the next month, well, we probably won't see this happen. We'll probably see Zill break out of the downside here and just break down and maybe come lower, right? And then this whole thing will be invalidated because it's done. But I don't think we'll see that. Personally, I think the bull market's going for early 2022 minimum, maybe mid 2022, maybe I think late 22 might be a bit unrealistic. And I've heard people call for 2023. It'll go into Q1 of 2023. So if anything like that happens, that'll just be advantageous to Zill, gives it more time to have a move. It gets to a higher price. Anyways, probably gonna wrap up the video there. Please, I want to say it again, take everything I've said with a grain of salt, because I don't want to seem like I'm calling for a $1 Zill. I would love that to happen, but I'm just, do I look at the charts, have a look at, you know, what potentially could play out long term, because I don't really talk long term about many coins, especially I'm talking about, you know, 6 months, a year, 2 years down the track, what could happen. I don't think many people are really talking about Zill 1 or 2 years down the track anyway. So that's probably all I've got to say. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Is everything I've said absolutely outrageous, or do you think there's a chance this could happen? Just let me know. I'm keen as to see everyone's thoughts. Please like the video, comment, share with your friends. I'm sure everyone would like to see this. Share with your friends, subscribe, would much appreciate that. And I'll see you later, guys. Enjoy.